My best friend Susan and I entered the entertainment industry together. Because of our caustic mouths and lack of tact, our manager shoved us straight into a reality livestream show as a rival antagonist to the current hot little flower actress Phoebe. During a swimming challenge, Phoebe feigned hydrophobia, immediately diving into the arms of the movie king while calling for the rapper to help. I instantly called her out. "Are you trying to have both of them?" Susan chimed in. "I've had it. She's ridiculously fake." The dishes that Susan painstakingly cooked were all eaten up by the little flower before everyone gathered, leaving only leftovers. Unable to tolerate it anymore, I grabbed my chopsticks and slammed the yard. Long beans onto her face, launching a direct green bean stick attack. The little flower mocked us for having no industry connections and then pretentiously claimed she had invited Samson, the crown prince of the investment world, to support her, implying he was pursuing her. When the crown prince of the investment world, Samson, arrived, I couldn't resist mocking him. "I heard you're like an octopus, wanting to hug several people at once." Samson quickly cried out, "Wife, listen to my explanation first." I coldly waved him away. "I didn't hear you. I don't know you. I'm not acquainted with you." Susan and I debuted from a talent selection competition, yet we remained obscure names for many years. Despite being celebrities, we still enjoyed gossiping about entertainment news online sometimes, scrolling through 800 provocative news items a day, sparing no one but ourselves. Due to one accidental like, both of our secondary accounts were exposed, simultaneously revealing our malicious and gossipy nature. From then on, I was labeled dark and persistent, and Susan was labeled persistent and dark. We were like two crows, unpleasant and unlucky. Our manager gave up on us and decided to simply utilize the waste, forcing us both into a reality lifestyle livestream show to play the villains and highlight the gentleness of the popular little flower Phoebe. Initially, Susan and I wanted to refuse, since our reputation was already poor, so joining this kind of show would surely mean packing up and leaving the industry after the broadcast. But the moment we heard Phoebe's name, we were immediately energized, as if we had drunk Red Bull, an old acquaintance. Phoebe, Susan, and I were college friends. In college, she was not only lucky but also prone to causing trouble, led movements to isolate friends. Who would have thought that in the entertainment industry she would transform into a high EQ image beloved by all, constantly projecting a relaxed aura and boasting extensive connections across showbiz. Recently, she was even being shipped as a couple with the rising movie king, Farley, with dating rumors exploding like fireworks. Not to mention she had an ambiguous relationship with the crown prince, Samson. Clearly, this program was custom-made to boost her popularity. I chewed on a sunflower seed and asked Susan, "Are you going?" "If you go, I'll go too." Susan raised an eyebrow, delighted. "Why wouldn't I go? We get paid, and we get to curse at people." We quickly reached an agreement. That evening, we lay in bed, pulled up Phoebe's photos from her social circle, and evaluated each one. I started, "They're all selfies, like a peacock spreading its tail." You know, she once gave her artistic photos to a male celebrity. That's excessive narcissism. And guess what she gave him when he gave her a designer bag? Susan asked curiously. What? I said scornfully. "A Peppa Pig watch." Susan pouted. "Oh God, she really has issues." We whispered like this all night. The next morning, we showed up to the show with dark circles under our eyes, like pandas, having to apply several layers of foundation to cover them. Phoebe, meticulously made up, stood next to us and deliberately reminded her makeup artist. "They're just background characters. They don't need too much makeup." Susan and I glanced at each other without speaking, simultaneously raising our middle fingers. At the filming studio, the director intentionally arranged for Phoebe and Farley to sit in the middle, next to the top rapper, Galvin. Susan and I were shoved into the far corner. As the director adjusted the camera angles, Phoebe naturally leaned on Farley's shoulder. Not forgetting to call out, "Galvin, move a little closer to me so you can be in the frame. Diane and Susan, move over a bit. It's too crowded." Though we were all guests, their attitude towards Susan and me was completely impolite. With one simple maneuver, Phoebe instantly became the focus of the entire studio. On the livestream screen, the comments exploded. "OMG, that ambiguous move. If they aren't together, then their fans have issues." Phoebe is truly a thoughtful little angel, even worrying about Galvin's screen time. No wonder she has so many friends in the industry. No way, Phoebe definitely suits Crown Prince Samson more. It's all because she's too charming. Adults don't choose. Our Phoebe wants them all. Ha 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 ha! "Diane and Susan, can you get out of the frame? Just looking at you is bad luck." Susan and I stood in the corner. Our eyes were rolling back so far that they almost reached our foreheads. We couldn't help but lean in close to gossip. Honestly, Phoebe is exactly like she was in college. She clings to any man she sees. I whispered. Susan nodded vigorously. "Should we give her a nickname? How about Flypaper?" I laughed, glanced around. "Don't let her hear you. That's not good. Susan countered. But it's true, what's wrong with that? Unexpectedly, just then, the director changed the camera angle, and our gossip was recorded entirely. The atmosphere immediately froze. Phoebe turned back and glared at us, her eyes seeming to want to devour us alive. Unfortunately, her image didn't allow for an outburst. Immediately after, negative comments flooded in. Susan and Diane are truly two rotten mice. Their mouths are poisonous. They must be trying to cause a scene for attention since no one cares about them. Our Phoebe is so famous, even the Crown Prince is infatuated with her, and her resources are amazing. Those two must just be jealous. I heard Diane is also a huge fan of the Crown Prince. Paparazzi once caught her secretly following Samson into a restaurant. What a scary girl. Actually, that day was when Samson and I were meeting his parents for the first time. I was sneaking around a bit, but I wasn't stalking anyone. I heard that when I left for this show, he lay face down on his bed and cried until the silk sheets were wet. Soon after my flight took off, Samson, who rarely uses social media, suddenly posted on Weibo. In the photo, he was wearing a white bathrobe half open, his hand resting on a large double bed, with the caption, "Without my wife to warm the bed, how can I sleep?" I didn't know where he learned these tacky moves, but netizens went wild. Immediately after, Phoebe posted a rebuttal, wearing the exact same bathrobe, along with a tearful expression and the caption, "Long night, single pillow, hard to sleep. I will miss you." This cold CEO and innocent female subordinate baiting attracted fans like crazy. That evening, Weibo crashed several times, and the hot search exploded. Samson and Phoebe suspected of going public with their relationship? Farley, your wife has been stolen. Act now. Phoebe clearly enjoyed being fought over by men. Meanwhile, I, who had just gotten off the plane, was utterly exasperated. If I hadn't just landed, I would definitely turn back and kick Samson twice. I had only been away from him for 6 hours, and he was already quick to take off his clothes and show off. Once settled, the crew took us to the most famous local lake for swimming, calling it getting close to nature. If I hadn't known Phoebe had been working out for a month for this segment, I might have believed it. When Susan and I appeared in modest, almost childlike swimsuits, Phoebe stepped out looking radiant. She wore barely 2 pieces of fabric that almost failed to cover her. Seeing us, she giggled. "Diane, Susan, you two are so cute." I couldn't even distinguish between a real compliment and sarcasm anymore. The fake flattery mixed with mockery, this green tea flavor was all too familiar. As expected, the comments were filled with praise for Phoebe, an innocent face, but a figure that's too hot. Earlier, she didn't forget to spin around gracefully, showing off her body from all angles, and said, "Someone once said he likes my figure the most and never gets tired of touching it." It must be Samson. Otherwise, she wouldn't have said that with her back to Farley. A face like that, wanted to consume everything, made me want to rip off her mask. Whatever anyone says, I can guarantee one thing. Samson has an extremely perverse possessiveness and would definitely not let his woman dress so revealingly. Once, I attended an event and had no suitable dress, so I chose a backless evening gown. It was form-fitting, showing off my curves clearly, with a snow-white bare back. Samson caught sight of me, flew into a jealous rage and tormented me, all night until my back was covered in pink marks the next morning. The day after, I wore an expensive custom-made outfit he paid a fortune for, wrapped up tight like a spring roll. Since then, I've had a mild phobia of backless dresses. While I was suspicious, Susan crossed her arms, seriously looked Phoebe up and down. "Where did you buy that swimsuit?" "It's not appropriate for broadcasting. There are children watching." Phoebe ignored the main point and casually replied, "You want to buy one like mine too? But I don't think it would suit you. This style requires a certain aura." I laughed lightly and said calmly, "No wonder it's so glaring to look at you wearing it." A simple sentence silenced her. Without waiting for her reply, Susan and I plopped into the lake like dumplings. Phoebe stomped her feet in anger. Seeing everyone enjoying themselves, she covered her mouth, her eyes welling up as she turned to Farley for help. "What should I do?" "I don't know how to swim. I'm so scared." Susan and I rolled our eyes simultaneously. Who didn't know that the person who once called herself the queen of swimming on social media was named Phoebe? Farley immediately played along, extended his hand gently. "It's all right. Come down. I'll protect you." Phoebe carefully tiptoed, and the moment she was about to step into the water, she lunged right into his arms, intertwining her fingers tightly with Farley's. Not stopping there, she intentionally called out loudly, "Galvin, save me!" Galvin, sitting on the side, resolutely put on his headphones and turned up the music, acting as if he didn't exist. I watched the entire process and couldn't help but mutter, "Isn't she trying to eat both of them?" Susan lamented, "I give up. The acting is too much." With that, we both immediately stood up and declared, "This water is contaminated." Comments immediately exploded. They truly are a couple. Their reactions are synchronized. So sweet even underwater. Why did this show invite Susan and Diane? They contribute nothing but venom. Those two are such party poopers. They have no talent. Phoebe clearly deliberately bumped into Farley when getting into the water, and then pretended to be scared. Are you blind? The water is deep. Of course Phoebe is scared. We know you're a primary school fan of Fairy Phoebe. Please get lost and clean up the chat. When Susan and I stood up, the water only reached our knees. The comments started scrambling for excuses. It's still unsafe for someone who can't swim, even in shallow water. Everyone else was pushed aside like an audience watching Phoebe and Farley intimately dancing in the water. Bored of waiting, I couldn't hold back anymore and activated my full venom mode. It's alright, just keep going. You can come up after you've given birth to your child. Susan quickly nudged me, looked annoyed. No way! If they give birth to a whole soccer team, we'll be sitting here tanning until we're moldy. We put our hands on our hips and burst into laughter, laughed until Phoebe's face turned as dark as the bottom of a pot. She finally reluctantly climbed ashore. No need to guess, the comments were tearing Susan and me apart. These two party poopers are so ill-mannered. Can't they stand to see Phoebe and Farley being sweet for a moment? But some people were clear-headed. I just find it excessive that Phoebe is already public with Samson yet still clinging to Farley. She clearly wants to have both. A few people spoke up. It's normal to compete for exceptional men. The one who's capable wins. After the swimming segment, everyone was exhausted. I don't know what Phoebe whispered to the director, but the production team suddenly singled out Susan and me to cook lunch for the entire crew. They demanded that we prepare 20 dishes for only 5 people. Without even thinking, we knew this was a deliberate move to confuse us, then wait for Phoebe to appear. To save the scene, continuing to reinforce the image of a thoughtful, considerate older sister. I gripped the edge of the table, fire blazing in my anger. I had had enough. It was time to flip the table. Susan quickly pressed my hand down, whispered, "Breaching the contract means $100 million penalty." I immediately sheathed the knife, forced a flattering smile. Money isn't important. What's important is our spirit of respecting the contract. Although we were terrible in the kitchen, Susan had a great organizational mind. She focused on finding recipes, and I handled the ingredients. When she picked up the knife, she worked like the wind. 3 cuts, and the chicken was done. She quickly boiled it, plucked the feathers, neatly deboned it, and even scaled the fish simultaneously. Throughout the process, I managed the stove while she cooked. We ran back and forth for over 2 hours to complete the 20 dishes. I don't know when, but the comments had shifted. I didn't expect Susan to be such a good cook. The color and flavor are genuinely amazing. Why am I suddenly finding those two less hateful than before? Diane is actually kind of cute crouching down to start the fire, with soot all over her face. So what if she can cook? Nothing can cleanse a rotten personality. If she likes cooking so much, why doesn't she become a chef? Why join a show? Just as we were sweating profusely and about to call everyone to eat, Phoebe walked over and said, "The director needs to interview you two for a moment." When we returned, the dining table had become a battleground. Phoebe was sitting at the table, happily gnawing on a chicken drumstick. She didn't leave even a single piece of the 20 dishes Susan had poured her sweat into. Seeing us about to explode with rage, she casually said, "Did you expect the whole crew to wait for you forever? The food would be cold. It's not like I didn't save you two any food." She pointed to the pile of scattered bones and leftovers on the table, acted like a generous person. Then she pretended to be pitiful. "It's just a small thing, Diane. You're not going to lose your temper over this, are you?" She had finished her sympathetic performance, so I didn't need to maintain my image anymore. I snapped, lunged straight ahead, and flipped the table. "Eat, eat, eat! Haven't you ever eaten before?" Just then, a chicken leg flew up and landed squarely on Phoebe's head. She shrieked loudly. But if screaming could solve problems, donkeys would have ruled the world a long time ago. Before she could recover, I immediately grabbed the nearby bunch of yard-long beans and slapped her face with them. The beans weren't heavy, but my strength was considerable. The loud smack, smack, smack sounds echoed, knocking the chicken leg off her head. Phoebe screamed like a pig being slaughtered. Finally, the production team rushed over to forcibly separate us. Susan looked at me with admiration, gave me a thumbs up. The green bean stick move was genius. Meanwhile, Phoebe sat on the ground, sobbed uncontrollably. Farley was frantically trying to comfort her. Galvin, who had just showered, weakly held himself, looked like an abandoned puppy. "I just finished showering. I haven't eaten anything. I hope I won't get beaten too." But as soon as we went live, the comments exploded like oil hitting hot water. Someone asked, "Is Diane crazy, daring to hit someone live on TV? Can a low-quality artist like this be kicked out of the entertainment industry?" But others countered, "The food was prepared with hard work. Honestly, even if Phoebe is stupid, she should know to wait for everyone to eat. Or is she afraid of Diane and Susan stealing her spotlight?" Someone immediately scoffed, "You people are talking nonsense. Phoebe is so famous. Why would she be afraid of anyone stealing her spotlight? Just admit you have a bad temper. Fans, stop trying to whitewash her image." The next day, the entire crew filmed in a solemn atmosphere, like a funeral procession. To maintain her image, Phoebe feigned generosity, showing she held no grudges against me. To break the awkward silence, Galvin invited a close friend from the industry, a famous chef named Devlin, to cook. Due to his excellent cooking skills, he was called the chef of the decade by the industry. Thanks to him, the show's popularity reached a new peak. Phoebe, who was used to being the center of attention, started feeling restless. She pretended to be shy, intentionally drew the director's camera toward her. "Maybe I should invite someone to treat the entire crew to a big meal?" The director smelled a rise in ratings, his eyes lighting up. "Could it be the Crown Prince, Samson? Are you about to go public with your relationship, Liv?" Phoebe smiled demurely, then turned to look at Farley. "It's Samson, but relationships shouldn't be rushed. I'm still thinking about it." The implication was clear. She was so alluring that both Farley and Samson were pursuing her, and she had the power to choose. As soon as Samson's name was mentioned, the affection in Farley's eyes immediately cleared up. He quietly moved a few feet away from Phoebe. After all, everyone knew that getting involved with that lunatic rarely ended well. The comments boiled over again. "Just call him my husband. Why hide it? We fans aren't outsiders. So many male gods. Who should she choose? I'm getting anxious for Phoebe. What is there to choose? Look at Farley. He's sitting a whole table away from her. A normal person would definitely choose the Crown Prince. Who would refuse? Did anyone notice Diane's eyes? She's completely stunned. Who wouldn't be stunned if a handsome guy was stolen right in front of them? Susan, who had intended to ignore it, couldn't help herself when she saw my expression. "If I remember correctly, isn't Samson your boss?" Before she could finish, Phoebe's face turned cold, and she loudly retorted, "Yes! But I can't stop him from pursuing me. He's willing to let me order him around and listens to my every word." With that, she angrily pulled out her phone, holding the screen up for the camera to see. The contact name was saved as my puppy. The comments, unaware of the truth, went wild. "Oh my God! Phoebe has trained the Crown Prince to be as obedient as a puppy, and calling him puppy is so adorable. I heard Samson's personality is eccentric and cold, respected even by company veterans. If he lets Phoebe call him that, it must be true love. I feel bad for Farley. He's been silent since he heard the Crown Prince's name. He doesn't dare make a sound. Phoebe is so lucky." However, the first call went unanswered. Phoebe forced a subtle smile. "He must be busy for a bit." Susan and I laughed so hard that our stomachs hurt, eager to see how she would continue the act. Phoebe, embarrassed, dialed again. The camera intentionally avoided showing her phone screen, but before the phone could ring, she put it to her ear, pretended to listen. "Samson, are you done with work yet? I'm on a live TV show. Can you stop by and bring some food and drinks to cheer me on?" "Well, if you're busy, I guess it can't be helped. You don't need to buy me a designer bag to apologize. I still love you." She put her phone away, turned to face the camera, smiled as if recalling a sweet memory. "He's busy handling a few $100 million projects and can't make it. I guess he'll send someone to deliver things later." Susan gave me a meaningful look. Did she really call him? I shrugged, pointed to the phone screen which wasn't lit up. I whispered, if there were an Oscar for reality acting, she'd definitely win. I was completely confident because I knew Samson would only answer one call, and that was mine. He wouldn't even bother answering his father's calls. Despite my obvious sarcasm, Phoebe forced a strained smile. "Diane, I understand. How can an 18th-tier actress like you approach anyone without using gimmicks? That's why everything you see looks fake." Susan sneered. "Didn't you just want to show off your connections because Galvin invited his friend? Our Diane knows people too." Phoebe's face turned pale when Susan hit a nerve, but she managed to maintain her high EQ image. "It's all right, Diane. You can invite your manager. We still welcome them." I took out my phone, about to dial, when Phoebe unexpectedly snatched it, intentionally holding the screen up to the camera. "Oh? It's Samson. See, everyone? Diane is hilarious. It's one thing not to be able to invite him, but it's too much to lie to the audience." Faced with Phoebe's provocation, I remained unbothered. A phone call can be faked, but a marriage certificate cannot. A week ago, Samson and I secretly got married in Bali. Since neither of us likes a commotion, we only invited family and close friends. Filming and photography were strictly prohibited, and security was tight everywhere. That's how we managed to hide it from the media. After all, his fan base is just as large as any top celebrities. Before this, I was already stressed from being attacked by netizens just for dating him. If the news of our marriage leaked, the internet would truly explode. I guess the reason he suddenly posted those romantic messages a few days ago was likely residual emotion from the wedding party. But I wasn't going to let him off easily. Letting him sleep alone for a few days would be good for him. Seeing Phoebe speechless from shock, I snatched my phone back and coldly dialed a different number. Without any preamble, as soon as the call connected, I said directly, "I'm sending you the location. You have to be here in 2 hours. Consequences if you're late." The comments exploded again. What is this talk about marriage certificates? I'm dying of laughter. Is this woman so delusional that she thinks she's the crown prince's mother? She didn't let anyone speak, afraid her scam would be exposed the moment she opened her mouth? Please act a little more genuinely. Does she think she's the legitimate wife? Inviting the crown prince too? Aren't you tired of copying Phoebe? Know your place. Phoebe finally regained her composure, laughed until she clutched her stomach. I'm dead. If you're so good, hire someone to imitate Samson's voice. That would be slightly less ridiculous. And she claims to have a marriage certificate? If it's true, show it to everyone. Phoebe raised an eyebrow and sneered. Only a lunatic would bring a marriage certificate to a TV show. My visible anger only made her more certain I was lying. She flicked her smoothly curled hair, looked ready to deliver the final blow. I was hesitant before about who to choose, but now that I think about it, I choose Samson. I don't blame people who are infatuated and do foolish things. But my Samson hates it most when outsiders use his name for clout. So, before you try to get involved, think carefully about whether you can handle the consequences of being blacklisted. Even if I beg, it might not soothe his anger. I raised an eyebrow and smiled coldly. Since when did my man need you to whisper sweet nothings in his ear? The last time Samson made me angry, just one word, break up, from me sent him into a frenzy. Of not eating or sleeping for days, crying until snot and tears ran down his face. I guarantee that if I called him now, even if he were in the restroom, and hadn't pulled up his pants yet, he would jump up and rush over. Seeing my calm confidence, Phoebe covered her mouth and chuckled, mocked me. If Diane says she married Samson, then let's wait and see if he appears here. Farley burst into a scoffing laugh. Diane is truly amusing. The crown prince isn't someone you can just summon. But you're good at stealing the spotlight. The camera is stuck on you now. While netizens were laughing, Susan and I sat leisurely chewing sunflower seeds. Samson's messages poured in like rain. The company is very busy lately. I've been working nonstop. But for just one word from my wife, I'll be there. Immediately. Baby, what do you need me for? Don't tell me. You want to go public? Yeah. My one mistake was loving you to the point of losing control. Reading those cheesy lines, I immediately locked my screen and closed my eyes. If I read any more, I would be sick. 40 minutes later, a driver delivered a large bag. This is from the crown prince. He said, "No rush." Phoebe smiled brightly, ran out to receive it, hugged the package, and her eyes sparkled with pink bubbles. Samson sent everyone drinks. He probably didn't send anything too expensive, afraid of putting pressure on people. Farley immediately chimed in. It's an honor for the crown prince to send us anything. The comments were swept up by Phoebe's exclusive charm. She smugly raised her eyebrows at me, pointed at the watch on her wrist. It's been over an hour. Someone's trick is about to be exposed, isn't it? Just then, the director finished a phone call, his face instantly changing. He shouted excitedly, "The crown prince is coming to our filming location himself." The comments exploded like New Year's fireworks. Did Diane actually manage to invite the crown prince? I told you, Diane's demeanor wasn't fake at all. Use your brain. It must be Phoebe who invited him. Who else? Diane is done for. How dare she challenge Phoebe on live TV? Let's see how the crown prince deals with her. But wait, Phoebe clearly said Samson couldn't make it earlier, while Diane was the one who said he'd arrive in 2 hours. The director was ecstatic. Oh my God, we've invited him so many times and he always refused, but this time Phoebe called and he's coming. Hearing this, Phoebe immediately adjusted her dress, covered her face with an embarrassed smile. What a surprise, such a surprise. He just said he couldn't come. But less than an hour later, he dropped several $100 million projects to appear on the show for me. I guess I'll have to give him a big reward this time. Samson's sudden arrival caused chaos. The director suggested that everyone contribute from their personal allowance to prepare a small gift as an introduction gift. But the problem was the show still had several days left and the budget was fixed. Everyone was in an awkward predicament. Fortunately, Galvin quickly suggested, "How about we make a handicraft? It would be meaningful and save money." The suggestion was great. Susan and I immediately agreed. But Phoebe acted as if she hadn't heard anything, pulled Farley away, not bothering to care. Susan raised her hand, said that she knew how to draw and could draw a portrait of Samson, but she was rushed, only having an hour, and needed assistance. At this point, Galvin quietly raised his hand. "I know how to draw too. How about we collaborate?" Though my nodding skills were terrible, I poured my heart into weaving a special puppy keychain for Samson. I even found a small box to carefully wrap it. I'd long had the habit of knotting these ugly-as-sin little trinkets whenever I was free, each one representing an animal from the Chinese zodiac. Since meeting Samson, I started knotting from the rat to the pig. Each item was ugly in its own way, but he treasured them like relics. He even specially made a glass cabinet to display them all. Now, only the dog was missing. While everyone was busy finishing their artwork, Phoebe returned, arms full of a large, vibrant bouquet. Susan, engrossed in her drawing, gritted her teeth. "Where did you get the money? Don't tell me you spent the entire group's allowance." Phoebe confidently boasted, "I haven't spent it all. I have 10 yuan left. This bouquet is for Samson. The other gifts are for my friends in the film industry." I swallowed my anger, chose my words carefully. The budget belongs to the whole group. It's not right for you to use it to buy personal gifts, is it? Susan chimed in. Exactly. If it belongs to everyone, anyone can spend it, right? Phoebe put her hands on her hips and retorted, "Did I forbid you from spending it? Who told you not to spend it quickly? I spent it and now it's gone. What's the problem?" The entire group turned to look at her like she was a traitor. Phoebe immediately played the victim, pursed her lips, her eyes were red. "Are you all intentionally targeting me?" Farley jumped in to defend her. "Is there any need to make such a big deal over a girl?" Comments flew. "I didn't notice before, but Phoebe truly is two-faced. Is it wrong to buy a gift for your boyfriend? Buying gifts for her friends is also caring, isn't it?" "Yes, but the problem is she only cares about herself. How will the rest of the crew survive the next few days?" "It's just bad luck. Don't blame her. Wait until the crown prince arrives. You'll see." I played with the bouquet for a while and then went to the restroom. When I returned, I realized the gift I made had disappeared from the table. I immediately asked Susan, "Did you see my gift box?" She shook her head. "I only saw Phoebe approach the table a moment ago. Why don't you ask her?" I turned and saw Phoebe throwing something into the trash can. I rushed over to check. It was indeed my gift box. The box was ripped open, and the little puppy keychain I had woven all morning was mangled beyond recognition. My anger peaked. I wouldn't hold back. I didn't know how to endure. I lunged forward and kicked her directly on the thigh, sending Phoebe tumbling to the ground. I roared, "Do you know that was a gift I put all my heart into preparing?" A moment earlier, when Phoebe ruined my gift, the director hadn't bothered to move the camera, but the moment I erupted in anger. All the long and short lenses focused on me, recording my ferocious, uncontrolled face. Phoebe sat on the ground, clutching the leg I kicked, her face twisted in pain. How was I supposed to know? It was so ugly. I thought no one would accept it, so I threw it away. "But you shouldn't resort to violence." I sneered, still pretending to be a green tea. "Let me wash some of that green off you." I raised my hand to strike again. In that exact moment, a sleek black Maybach screeched to a halt in front of the small house. The car door opened. A tall man with a narrow waist and long legs slowly stepped out. He looked up and immediately saw me with my hand raised, about to deal with someone. My large hand swung down, slapped Phoebe right across the face, sending her sprawling like a firecracker on the ground. Finally, this moment had arrived. Phoebe immediately played the victim. Tears was welling up, lying prone on the ground. Looking weakly at Samson, clearly trying to mimic the phrase, "Oh, it hurts." The director yelled at the camera crew, "Record it, quick! The crown prince is protecting his beloved. This scene is going to make our show huge." Samson took long strides like he was walking into battle, but he casually walked past Phoebe as if she were air. That's right, he walked straight past her without even glancing her way. The comments exploded. "Am I seeing things? Why didn't the crown prince slap Diane? Phoebe just got hit." Her fans are delusional. Doesn't they see he didn't even spare her a glance? This scene is like a cinematic masterpiece. Could it be? The crown prince is holding back his anger, waiting to deal with Diane after the show cuts? While everyone was confused, Samson walked straight to the trash can, bent down, and picked up the knotted puppy I had made, which was now mangled and shapeless. He asked, his voice extremely serious, "Is this a grasshopper?" I answered decisively, "It's a puppy." He quickly gave a thumbs up, afraid that if he praised it too slowly, he would be the next one to be slapped. "A dog? That's right, a puppy. It looks just like one." "Exactly." The director was bewildered, turned to look at Phoebe, then back at me, unable to comprehend what was happening. Phoebe still thought her gift arrived late, and I had managed to flatter the crown prince first. She hugged the bouquet, tried to force a smile. Awkwardly, she held it out to Samson and said, "Samson, this is the bouquet I bought for you." Before Samson could say anything, he was interrupted. His face immediately darkened, his eyes were icy. The bodyguard beside him silently picked up Phoebe like a chicken, pulled her to the side, and said, "Didn't you know General Manager Samson is allergic to pollen?" Phoebe's face turned ashen. She tightly clutched the bouquet, which was now a crushed ball of flowers, stammering, "I'm sorry, Samson. I didn't know." Susan added a sharp comment, pretending to be Samson's girlfriend. "Yet you don't even know he's allergic to pollen? You truly flattered the wrong person, huh?" Farley also seized the chance to jump in. "I bought this bouquet, and the brooch that came with it is a gift I intended to give you. General Manager Samson, my name is Farley. The rumors about Phoebe and me are just a screen couple. Please don't take them seriously. I spent a lot of time choosing this brooch. I hope you like it." But Samson didn't even bother to glance at him. The comments finally started to make sense. Wait a minute. Something is wrong here. Why does the Crown Prince look more like Diane's puppy than the keychain when standing next to her? Don't speculate. Maybe Phoebe accidentally chose the wrong gift. Maybe they are a real couple, trying to avoid suspicion? Avoid suspicion and join the same show? Everyone can see the Crown Prince's eyes are glued only to Diane. Phoebe still tried to salvage the situation, spoke awkwardly from the side, as if holding on to a sliver of hope. "Thank you for coming to my show." Finally, annoyed beyond endurance, Samson glanced at Phoebe, his eyes layered with coldness. "You talk too much. Who are you anyway?" Phoebe quickly changed her tone, tried to appear obedient. "I'm an artist under your company, General Manager Samson. Thank you for taking care of me all these years." She emphasized the word "taking care of," making me immediately frown. I mocked her coldly. "Samson, I heard you're like an octopus, pursuing several people at once. This artist you took care of has used your influence to cause me plenty of trouble. Getting cursed by the audience is one thing, but Susan and I had to cook for 2 hours until we were exhausted, and we didn't even get a bite of food. She ate the entire feast like a wild boar." Every word I spoke pierced Samson's heart, making him flustered and out of control. He was practically on the verge of tears. "Wife, I've been wronged. Listen to my explanation. I have tons of entertainment companies under my control. I can't manage every artist. I can't control those media stunts. I'm only obsessed with you." Knowing I was close to Susan, Samson desperately looked at her for help. But Susan just crossed her arms, enjoyed the drama. Poor Diane, being bullied by her husband's company artist to this extent. As the boss's wife, having to endure this is truly an injustice. Galvin nodded in agreement. Susan is right. As family members, they didn't even get to eat. Samson was about to burst into tears, like someone who was just called out but had nowhere to run. He waved his hand, his voice thick with injustice. "Wife, you are my justice." The director on the side was startled, stammered. "General Manager Samson, did I hear correctly? Aren't you pursuing Phoebe? You clearly sent so many gifts." That was another devastating blow. Samson was so angry that he kicked the director's leg. "Gifts? What gifts? She's a nobody employee. What right does she have to demand that her boss make time for her? Besides my wife, I have never pursued anyone. Not before, not now, and certainly not in the future." The comments on the screen finally started to realize the truth. I finally understand. It turns out Phoebe was lying from the beginning. I told you Diane's expression that day wasn't acting. I used to praise Phoebe's high EQ and wide connections. Now that her mask is off, I see she's just a shameless parasite. Earlier, a male actor accused her of clinging to him after filming, claiming they were close friends when he was just tired of her. Her true nature is revealed now. Who understands the feeling when the person you hate is finally exposed in front of everyone? Poor Diane, constantly provoked, then called short-tempered for fighting back. If it were me, I would have slapped Phoebe a long time ago. Even Phoebe's manager, trembling, couldn't take it anymore. She fiercely pulled Phoebe's collar and ground out, "Didn't you say General Manager Samson was pursuing you? Otherwise, why would I risk everything to secure so many resources for you? You better give me a valid reason." At this moment, Phoebe truly burst into tears. She had acted and played the diva for so many years in the industry. She never expected to harm herself with a self-inflicted bow and slap the owner move. She cried so hard that her shoulders shook uncontrollably, mumbled, "General Manager Samson, I'm sorry, I was just vain. I wanted to be famous and make money for the company. I truly didn't mean any harm." Her words sounded sincere, as if any further pursuit by Samson would be considered excessive bullying. But I wasn't buying it. I stepped forward, sneered, "Be as vain as you want. What does that have to do with others or the company? Did the company teach you to lie like this? Stop acting. What's the point of those meaningless words?" Samson looked at her icily and said, "Apologize to Diane immediately." Phoebe, though unwilling, had to bow politely and apologize to me. "I'm sorry, Diane." I asked indifferently, "Apologize to me for what?" She stammered, "I shouldn't have mocked you, shouldn't have fabricated dating rumors, shouldn't have lied to everyone that general manager. Samson was my boyfriend, shouldn't have used my boss's influence, shouldn't have used the group's budget to buy gifts for my friends." So, She knew perfectly well every wrong thing she had done. She was just feigning innocence. At this point, Farley had retreated, becoming an invisible man, no longer speaking up to defend her. Frankly, his crime wasn't too severe. He simply saw Phoebe's commercial value and wanted to ride on her popularity. It was all a gimmick, deceiving fans and hypocrisy. But the show had to go on. The contract was still in effect. Samson waved his hand, coldly commanded, "From now on, I'm covering all the expenses for this show." Except for Phoebe and Farley, all the remaining cast members were treated to a luxurious French feast. The two culprits were forced to sit in the corner eating cold buns, ignored by everyone. When everyone gathered to light the bonfire, they were still huddled in the corner, trembling like wet chickens. Samson laughed maliciously. "They love creating couples, don't they? Then let them create a miserable couple now." In the flickering firelight, Samson and I looked into each other's eyes. He took a sip of wine, his gaze full of tenderness. "Wife, I braced myself for a high-quality, cheesy romantic line, but he said, "Can you stop giving me grasshoppers from now on?" I shouted, "Samson, are you trying to die?" To the astonishment of everyone, the arrogant Crown Prince Samson immediately fled around the bonfire like a duck being chased. I followed him with a piece of firewood, poked his behind without mercy. Galvin, at that moment, quietly sneaked up to Susan, offering her a skewer of barbecue. Can I write a song for you?" This is the first time I've ever written a song for a girl I like." Susan blushed, then gently nodded and smiled. Comments exploded. "Oh my God, the Crown Prince and Diane are so sweet. I've never seen Samson laugh like this. This is true love. He's laughing even when being poked in the butt. That's real love." But you have to admit, this couple is extremely abstract. Galvin and Susan are adorable too. This show is a feeding frenzy of love. Of course, except for the heavenly fake couple, Phoebe and Farley. Indeed, the curse has never been more relevant. The show concluded. Samson forced me to take a long vacation, sticking close to me every night, as if afraid I would vanish. Good news also came from Susan. She officially escaped singlehood and no longer had to play the third wheel for us. As for Phoebe, she predictably collapsed in an unexpected way. The live stream video was edited and spread across social media. The way she led fans to attack others before was now being turned back on her. She tried to salvage her reputation, but as soon as she returned to the company, she received a termination notice. Due to serious personal issues affecting the company's image, all brands simultaneously canceled their contracts. Phoebe had to pay a huge contract breach penalty. Farley was no better. His image plummeted, and his entire schedule was eventually frozen. As I was eating the breakfast, Samson personally cooked. His eyes sparkled. As he looked at me and said, "Baby, I just accepted a new TV show for us." I looked up, wary. "What show?" He smiled so wide that his eyes disappeared. "Traveling with my wife show."